Let's check our bodies for whole body listening. Sawyer, are we ready to get going, bud? And I will share our learning target so you know where everything is. I always like to show you in Google Classroom. Today's the 26th, so it is going to be under Monday at 12:45. And our learning target is the same. We are learning to make observations, obtain information, and create graphical displays to describe patterns in weather, climate, erosion, and features of the earth, so we can build our schema and comprehension. So we have been recording patterns with temperature and wind speed, cloud type, rainfall. And we're going to now take that information, put it into some graphs, and then give some advice to our friend Nellie. All right, so let's go for it. Get your packet out. I went ahead and did the forecast or the actual weather today. See if it matches what you anticipated from Friday. So go ahead and let's copy this down. Okay, so it's day 5. Should be in your working, oh, you were never here, that's right. So I went ahead and found the temperature is actually 59 degrees right now. However, it is so windy that it feels a lot cooler. So you should have all of this data. Yours might be a little different, and that's okay. But for day 1, we got 27 degrees. Do you have this, Sawyer? Okay, let's get going. 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we went down to 25 degrees on day 2. Day 3 shot up to 39 degrees. And if you don't have this, Charlie, you could write it in a science spiral. Maybe you did that already, or any piece of paper, doesn't matter. Day 4, we had 39 degrees again. And then today we shot up to 59 degrees. So let's make sure you have that filled out because you're going to need that data in order to make your graph today. For wind speed, you'll be shocked. We went from 5 miles per hour on day 1, 1.2 miles per hour on day 2. Day 3, we had 2.3 miles per hour. Day 4 was only 0.3 miles per hour, was super still on Friday. And then today, if you've been outside, you know it's a really windy 12-mile-per-hour winds right now. Now the clouds we noticed were all kind of different. We had some cloudy days last week. So we had some cumulus, we had stratus. And then today I noticed some cirrostratus up there, pretty high in the sky, because it doesn't look like we're gonna get any precipitation. Even though we did have some precipitation last week, we did not get a whole lot. So day 1, we only had 1 centimeter that we collected. Day 2, we had 0 centimeters. Day 3, we only got 1/4 of a centimeter. On Friday, we didn't have any. And then again, today there is none. We have no rainfall, no sleet, no snow in our cup. So current weather, you did a little bit each day. Can someone tell me what they wrote for Friday? Evie, what did you write Friday? It was cold. What else, Madison? Cloudy. Yeah, we did have some snow flurries, but it didn't amount to anything in our cup. All right, then did anyone predict what the weather would be like over the weekend? Sunny, what did you say? Snowy and rainy, but was it? I would have said the same thing with the clouds that we saw. Actually, the weather really changed, didn't it? We had beautiful weather this weekend. So maybe you guys, if you looked at the weather yesterday, you would have also predicted great weather. Yes, Abby?
Yeah, I thought windy and warm.
Oh, okay, windy and warm. So what I want you to do, if you have not filled all this out, obviously you should be doing that right now. If you have not gotten that information, then I want you to think, what do you think based on the pattern we've had? We've had Colorado's hard. What do you think the weather might be for tomorrow? Just write it down. Don't share. Write it down in your box. What do you think the weather might be for tomorrow? What's your prediction based on what you see? Now think about wind. Wind can bring in storms, right? Winds often bring bad weather, and we are pretty windy. Our barometer isn't looking, it's not looking very low though. It's right in the middle. So the barometer is not going to, for air pressure, is not telling us a whole lot. If it were down low, we would know a big storm's coming, right? Soon. If it were up high, we would know it's going to be gorgeous and calm. But it's straight out in the middle, so there's no indication. Because right now, the weather's not bad. It's pretty, it's up a little bit because the weather's pretty nice right now, right? But what will happen tomorrow? That is going to be, we're going to use all this data. So if you have not noticed, attached to that front sheet are some graphs, right? On the back of that graph, we have a bar graph that we're going to create to show temperature during our investigation. We also have a line graph that we're going to make for wind speed. And then we will make another line graph for our precipitation or rainfall. So this will be a little tricky because we haven't had a ton. So let me make sure, does anybody need more time on the data? All right, then let's get started. Go ahead and turn to your next page. It's on the back of your front. So here's the front, you just turn it over. And you are going to, we should know from math how to create a bar graph. You want to look at your axis. Your x-axis here says the days. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. On the left here, our y-axis has our degrees in Fahrenheit. What are the intervals of the degrees? Yeah, Cooper. Okay, but what's the interval? What's it counting by? Tens, right? Because we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and all the way up to 100. So we got to go back to our data, and we have 27 degrees for day 1. So where am I going to draw that bar to? I only have a 20 and a 30. What do you think, Josh? What could I do if I want to do 27 degrees? Okay, here's 20 degrees. What would halfway be, Josh? So if halfway is 25, between 20 and 30, I need to go up like 2 more, right? Yeah. So just about here. Do you see it? Yeah. So we just want to go up, not all the way to 30, because 30 is more than 27. A little further than halfway. And then I'm going to draw a bar, right? And you can color in your bar. So that is the temperature for day 1, was 27 degrees. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. You guys, if you get it and you want to move ahead, let's do it. Day 2 was 25 degrees, right? So you're going to go to day 2. Where would I put 25 degrees, Gabe? Bring it here? No. Where would we put it, Lucas? Where would 25 degrees go? Thanks, Paxton. Lucas? 25, you've got 20, you've got 30. These are intervals of 10. I want 25. Where would I show 25? So where's my bar graph going to go to, bud? Halfway between which 2 degrees? Halfway between 20 and 30, because half of 10 is 5, right? Okay, so then for number 2, we're going to go halfway between 20 and 30. It's going to be a little less than day 1. And you can color in your bar. Now look at this. Day 3 goes all the way up to 39. 39, oh my goodness, Ryder. What do you think, what's your suggestion to show 39 degrees on this graph?
Probably like up to 30 and like teensy weensy little bit from touching 40.
Almost at 40, he says, a teensy weensy bit from 40, right? It's almost at 40, but not quite. All right, so we're going to go almost to 40, but not quite. And then we're going to make our bar. So I like this bar graph because it really shows what happened over the week. We started out lower and then we got warmer, right? So you have the same thing for day 4, don't you? We have the same thing for day 4. 39. So just repeat it. Unless you got a different temperature, then you can make yours go with your data, okay? Especially if you're at home and you used a different tool. I told you, mathematicians, it's important for meteorologists to use math, right, in their job. Do you see it? Okay, we have one more day. Now it's 59. Do you think you can do it? Haley Calendar, where should my bar go, my dear? For day 5, it's 59 degrees today. Yeah.
Okay, so it should go to the 50 and then almost to the 60, but not quite there.
Excellent. So you should see a big jump. So if you got something different, just do what you got, okay? That's fine. Well, how did you get 57 if I gave you the temperature today? Everyone should have 59 because I gave it to you today, right? Yeah, so there was no way maybe you just wrote it different. Just didn't see your handwriting look different. Okay. So now think about the graphs we analyzed when we did the world city match. We just made our own for conifer, for temperature. So we can use this to help us when we give Nellie our advice on what to wear for the picnic. We'll be able to give her an idea of what our temperatures have been doing, even though we do see a big difference and we know Colorado changes. We know it's not going to be in the 80s or 90s, right? Like some of the cities we saw, right? Okay, that was our temperature. The next graph is a little different. You might want to get a ruler for this, or if you have a, you don't have to have one. I have some in the room if you need them, because line graphs are a little different. This is for our wind speed or rotations per minute. Oh, rotations per minute. I made it miles per hour. So that was a different setting. Let's see if we can do 1.2.3. Let's do this. Let's get rid of the 0 on the side, and instead of rotations per minute, I want you to do mph for miles per hour.
What about our 12-degree today?
That's what we're doing.
We're gonna put it over the 10.
We're doing it right. That's what we're doing. All right, so for day 1, we had 5 mile per hour winds. So you're gonna go up to day 1 and put a dot. Instead of, we're gonna do a line graph instead of a bar graph. We're gonna do it a little different. So put a dot on the 5 there. Let's see. Because we had 5 mile per hour winds on day 1. On day 2, we had 1.2. So that's 1.5 would be 1.5. So 1.2 is going to be just under that 1.5 mark. So you're going to put a dot right above that 1 mile per hour wind for day 2. Day 3, keep going back to your data. What was the wind speed for day 3, Cole? 2.3. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right below the halfway mark and put a dot. 2.3. I'll show you how we'll make a line graph after this, once we get our dots on there. How about day 4? Let's hear from Robert. What were the winds? What was the wind speed on day 4? It was pretty still. 0.3, so it's just going to be a little bit above 0, right? Now day 5 is off the charts, isn't it? Yeah. So what we'll do is, if this were 10, this line could be 11, and right about here would be 12. So we're going to go above the chart, way up here. Does anyone have an idea how we're going to make this look like a line graph? What might we do, Evie? We're going to connect. How many of you have ever done connect the dots? Isn't that fun? We're going to connect the dots. Boop. Boop. It does look like a W. Woo!
Wait, it's supposed to be a W for weather.
A W for weather, August says. So you can tell, wow, our wind really changed a lot from Friday to Monday, didn't it? Our wind speed, much higher. So we have one more. I want to see if you can do the last graph on your own. The last graph is rainfall. I showed it to you. Now this one's going to be, we didn't get much. So this will be pretty simple. You are going to do the same thing for rainfall using our data right here in this column that says rainfall. You've got 1 centimeter, 0, 1/4 of a centimeter. Remember, that's smaller than a half. That's half of a half. 0 and 0. These should be pretty simple. Your line's going to be pretty flat. It might have a bump here and there, but we did not get a ton of precipitation the past 5 days. Yes?
Are we doing the dot line again?
Yep. you're gonna do the dots. It's gonna be a line graph like the one we just did. Try it on your own. I'll go over it in a minute, but I want to see if you can try it on your own, meteorologist. You've got this.
How do you do 1/4?
You're gonna have to think about math. Divide up that one into fours, 4 equal parts. Find one. Once you're done, you'll connect the dots. Yes.
That was good. It would look like this. Like this is the middle, and then we boom.
Let's see how we're doing at home. Show me at home. Do you need 1 minute or 0?
0.
On your fingers, you need 1 minute or 0.
0.
Ben has 0. Leo has 0. Gavin, not sure about you, bud. You need. Haley needs another minute. Gavin, can you show me, bud? 0. It's like a weird shadow. Hard to see. Charlie, I don't see him. Yeah, I can't see Jensen. Jensen, turn your camera on, bud, so we can see if you need another minute. All right, here we go. If you're struggling, pay attention, and then hopefully you'll see how this works. So we have to use our data. For day 1, we said there was 1 centimeter of rain. So where are we going to put our first dot? On the 1. On day 2, what did we have, Noah? 0. So we put a dot on 0. All right, Logan, what did we have for day 3? Go back to your data. What did we have? Just a 4th. We did not have much. So this is the one that got most of you. Where should we put that 1/4? Logan?
I did a line, so I put a line and then a line going the other way, so it would be like a little over 0.
Okay, so if you divide this section in half and then divide that in half, right, you'd have 4ths, just like we would divide a number line. So it'd be a little bit over 0, not much. I saw some people had it up on 1. It's not the same. 1/4 is a fraction, right? It's a smaller amount, a part of a whole. All right, and then 4, what did we have for 4, Max Deesberg? Day 4, how many? We had 0 again. And day 5, microphone answer? 0. So when you connect, you have a couple bumps in the road, but pretty much
It looks like
it's showing that we're not getting a ton of precipitation in the past 5 days. Even though it was cloudy, we had fog, we had flurries, not much accumulated. So now you're going to use this data that you collected. You're going to analyze it just like you matched the cities to the weather maps. But this time, the reason you're going to, Abby, analyze it is because you are going to answer Nervous Nellie's question. Let me remind you, every year Nellie Johnson's family has a family reunion. They have a picnic in a local park, and all of her aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, brothers, and sisters come from across the country to attend the picnic, right? The picnic is a big event, and every year Nellie looks forward to seeing everyone. However, there are 2 problems that always make Nellie nervous. First, the weather where she lives is very unpredictable. One year, the entire picnic was ruined by a freak snowstorm in April. Second, her family comes from many different parts of the country, and they never seem to wear the right clothes for the picnic. This year, Nellie has assembled a team of students, that's you, to study the weather carefully. We've been doing that in order to learn how to forecast the weather. If she can accurately predict what the weather will be like, she can tell all of her aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, brothers, and sisters what to wear to the picnic. Are you guys ready for this? Yeah? All right. They will be dressed correctly. Nellie has picked you to join her team. Your job is to design a set of instruments, which we've already talked about that, to study the weather. We've made careful observations. We became expert weather forecasters. Now you are going to tell the guests how they should dress for the picnic. Will the weather be warm and sunny or cold and rainy? Should the guests bring umbrellas and raincoats or shorts and suntan lotion? Can you help Nervous Nellie? So based on what we've seen, look outside, think about what you know, what wind can bring. What do you think? Now you don't need to tell me because you're gonna be writing it. You are going to share with Nervous Nellie what you think her guests should wear. Remember, she wants to know, how should they dress for the picnic? We're going to pretend it's tomorrow, even though tomorrow's a Tuesday. We're still going to give her our recommendation for tomorrow. Should they bring umbrellas and raincoats, shorts, suntan lotion? Do you think they need coats and boots? What do you think the weather will be like? Based on our increase in wind, we haven't had a lot of precipitation. Our temperatures have gone up, but we know Colorado can change. And then also think about, this is a big indicator, this wind. What could that wind mean? Maybe it's a change, maybe it's not. You guys are gonna have to do your best. There's no right or wrong answer, guys. Just use the data, think about our temperatures, and don't just look at today's temperature. Look at some of the temperatures for the past 5 days. So if we know it can be 25 degrees, or it could be up to 59 degrees, just know tomorrow could be one of these, right? And somewhere in that range. So even if it is warmer, do you really think it's going to get up to 80s and 90s?
No.
Be reasonable. Think about what you know about our climate here in Colorado. We're pretending that the picnic is at, let's say, Flying J Ranch in Conifer. It's tomorrow. What should her family bring? What should they wear? What should they be prepared for? Okay, any questions? Okay, start writing. And if you can write on, right, Haley, what are you writing on, honey? Do you have your paper? You need a piece of notebook paper. You can write in your science spiral, but you need to be writing. Gavin, can you hold up the paper you're going to use to write? Because we're going to be sharing these. Can I see your paper? If you don't have one, Gavin, you need to go get it right now. Get your science spiral. It can be your math spiral. It really doesn't matter. It can be a piece of paper, but we're all writing. Charlie, do you have something to write on? Awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see my kids at home. Leo's writing away. Ben, what are you writing on, bud? Your spiral or paper? Your paper? Okay. Get your pencil. I want to see that hand moving. There's no wrong answer, guys. Just do what you think. It's kind of nice for you to see how hard it is to be a meteorologist. Maybe we'll have more patience for meteorologists when they're wrong. Yes, Josh, did you have a question? Okay, not yet. We're giving people some time. Add more detail, okay? Think of other things. If you're already finished, add more detail. What can they expect? Tell about the clouds. Tell about the temperature. Include whether there will be precipitation. What will they need to wear? What should they bring? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? Do they need a jacket? Do they need boots? Do they need sunscreen? Do they need an umbrella? That's a lot to tell. So add that detail if you're already done. Make sure your name is on your paper, friends in person. Can you put your name on your paper?
Do we need to do the date too?
Yeah, just your name. I love how Gabe is going back to his maps. He's looking at his data to see, what is the best forecast based on what I know? Yes, we want to know about the weather. Don't forget your cups. I should see capital letters at the beginning of your sentences, periods at the end. Maybe more than that. More detail. Like, what am I need to wear? What am I bringing? What's the sky going to look like? Is it going to be windy? Is it going to be cold? Is it sunny? What is it going to be? Everybody should be able to do this. I shouldn't have any twos on this assignment. The only reason you would get a 2, not if your forecast is wrong, if you didn't give me any detail. If you make nervous Nellie, more nervous because she still doesn't know, right? Nervous Nancy. Make sure you're writing in complete sentences. I love how Serene said, "Dear Nellie." Nice. Cheers. You might even want to add why you think it's going to be that way. Since blah, 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 I believe it will be.
Yeah, use some of your
Use-
evidence.
Yeah, evidence.
Evidence. Just like EL, use your evidence. Except for
Yeah.
instead of the text, it's what? It's your graphs, right?
All these skills kind of go across all your
Yeah,
subjects.
use your evidence. What makes you think that?
Wow, Noah's got a lot of detail. You can go on the back if you need to. I will flip it over and read your.
Aussie R's.
So Mike Nelson on the news said, "Hey, tomorrow you should bring an umbrella," and didn't tell me why. I wouldn't understand, right? You should bring an umbrella, Abby, because we have low air pressure and we have high winds and we think the storm is coming in, high humidity. He would tell me why, right? So give that evidence. Put your mask on, please. Yes, Lucas. You need more detail, that's only a 2. You should at least go with 3. Use your capitals. Or you could do. So you have to have more detail to get a 3.
More details, the better.
Abby, you need to tell me more. That's not enough. What do I need to wear? What's the weather going to be like? What do I need to bring? And why do you think so? That's more. Come on, pick up your pencil with one hand. Start writing. You got this. All right. So my friends at home, who would be willing to share? Charlie, I see you're done. Would you be willing to unmute and share what you wrote?
Long sleeve shirt, warm socks, fur coat, fur boots, wool socks, jeans, winter hat, waterproof gloves.
Okay, can you tell me why you think that and tell me a little bit more about the weather? Add on.
Because it is really cold and there is most of the time always snow and the weather is kind of always chilly.
This time of year? Okay, thank you. All right. So let me have Haley, will you share yours as well?
Yeah. I think it will be windy and snowy and a cloudy day.
You're muted, honey.
And a hat to wear, and I think it will snow, so they need an umbrella to block the snow from falling on them. I also think they should bring hot food to keep them warm when they are eating. That's as far as I got.
Okay, good job. All right, you guys are going to read yours to a partner, share your thinking, and I want to hear from Leo next.
I think the weather will be hot and windy. There will be no rainfall. They will need to bring a t-shirt and sunscreen, sandals and shorts. You should bring a t-shirt because there will be high precipitation. You should bring sunscreen because it will be hot and sunny. Bring sandals so your feet don't get too hot in your normal shoes. And shorts so you don't. And that's as well as I got.
Okay, you said high precipitation. Do you know precipitations like rainfall, snow?
Yes.
Yeah, so you might want to switch that. If you have it hot and sunny, you're probably not going to have any precipitation, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, good job. All right, Ben, your turn.
Are we supposed to be predicting the weather for tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought it would be snowy and rainy and cold and wet, so that means you should bring a big coat, snow pants, and boots.
Okay, thank you. Gavin, you're up, my dear.
I believe today is sunny, warm with stratus clouds. You should wear a t-shirt and pants.
Did they bring anything? Should they bring anything else?
No.
Okay, Jensen, can I hear from you, please?
Yeah.
And can you turn on your camera? Thank you.
Okay. So it's a little different, a little bit windy, pretty hot, and I think that you don't need to wear a coat.
So can you hold up what you wrote, Jensen? Okay, so that's not gonna cut it, bud. You were supposed to write a paragraph, paper and pencil. Guys, just because you're remote doesn't mean you don't need to do the work, right? You're still expected to do the work. So I just took grades. It's part of your science grade. So you need, so Jensen, look at what Haley did. Jensen, look at what Haley did, right? You're supposed to write on paper and be a third grader, right? That's not third grade work. You can do better, and you got to have your camera on so I can help you. Otherwise, I don't even know where you're at. Okay. All right, if you can hear my voice, say meteorologist. Mrs. Harrison, did you see one
Meteorologist.
there?
I was mostly asking them what they had similar, whether it was different.
All right, I'll just grab Madison. Come on up, Madison. I just like to put you on the spot like that.
We weren't, yeah, sorry, I was bored.
All right, so here's an example. Do you want to read what you wrote?
Sure. Hello, Nellie. I think if you are having a picnic tomorrow, you should wear shorts, t-shirt, sweater, and boots. You should bring sunscreen, puffy coat, sweatpants, and an umbrella. Why I think you should bring and wear all of that because it has been a bit cold, and I heard it will be snowy and rainy tomorrow.
Cute.
I don't know.
Okay, I like all the detail and the explanation. So if you just wrote 2 words, you could have done better. You might not get the job at the ABC News weather as the weather forecaster, right? You want to have good detail. All right. Now, make sure your name is on both of those. Just Mrs. Harrison's gonna collect them. They're gonna just put them together, both packets, the packet and the graph. Mrs. Harrison will come around and gather. The rest of you, we are gonna get started on our next part of our lesson. So instead of holding it up for her, right, wait till she comes, and we're moving on to our next project because we have some time. I'm going to read a book to you that I thought goes perfect with our next project. So this is called Disaster Zone, Hurricanes. And I chose hurricanes to talk about and kick off our natural disaster part of our weather unit because I'm from Florida and I've lived through hurricanes. So I thought that this would be a good one for me to share with you. What is a hurricane? Imagine you're on vacation in Florida. The meteorologist on TV is tracking a thunderstorm over the ocean. People listen closely. Everybody wants to know the same thing. Is a hurricane coming? Hurricanes are powerful spinning storms. When they move over land, they can be deadly. Winds and storm surges cause major damage. Did you know a storm surge is a huge rise in the water level along the coast? It can be as high as 20 feet or 6 meters. The next day you turn on the news again, the storm is growing stronger. Storm trackers have flown into the hurricane to gather information. Satellite images show a massive donut-shaped storm forming. A hurricane is coming. It's time to evacuate. Get out of there. How do hurricanes form? Hurricanes form all around the world where there are warm ocean waters. Would they form in Colorado? No, we are landlocked. We are not going to have a hurricane in Colorado. You need to have warm ocean waters, not even a lake. It's not even gonna form over a lake. Has to be the ocean waters. They start as thunderstorms over the ocean. The temperature, air pressure, and wind have to be just right to turn the storm into a hurricane. As a hurricane forms, it pulls in ocean water. Winds get stronger. They start to spin around a center called the eye. The eye is actually a calm place. Next to the eye is the eye wall. This is the strongest part of the storm. It is very windy here. And you can see that, right? Here's the eye. The eye wall is formed right around that eye. Winds inside the storm give it power. Winds outside the storm push it across the ocean. Sometimes hurricanes stay at sea. Sometimes they hit land. Where are they? In some places, hurricanes are actually called typhoons. And other places, they are called cyclones. But all three are the same kind of storm. So in the orange, so if you hear we say hurricane, right? Especially because here's where we are in the United States. When they hit Mexico, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, all of these coastal states and then country here, you would call that a hurricane. The cyclones over here, the eastern hemisphere, over by Australia, Africa, we have cyclones, and north of that, they call them typhoons. Okay, chapter 3, deadly hurricanes. Hurricanes that hit land are destructive. Winds blow off roofs, they pick up cars and blow them down the road. Rain pours down, sometimes for days. Waves of ocean water come ashore. Towns are destroyed, people drown. The deadliest hurricane on record hit Bangladesh in 1970. Almost 500,000 people died. The storm that hit Galveston, Texas in 1900 killed about 5,000 people. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the southern United States. It destroyed cities. About 1,800 people died. Did you know meteorologists choose hurricane names from a list? They use both male and female names. Names of very destructive storms are never used again. Whoops. So hurricane kit. Expecting a hurricane? Be prepared. Make an emergency kit. It should include water, canned or dried food, and a can opener, first aid kit, radio and batteries, cell phone, flashlight, blankets. And now, my mom, every time a hurricane's gonna hit, she lives in Florida, she's like, oh, they sold out of water. All the stores are sold out of water. And so she always has extra water and canned foods just because she's used to being ready for a hurricane. Also, we know that she needed a cell phone charger that did not require electricity. So why do you think she would need that? Like a car charger where she could go get in her car and charge her phone. Why do you think that would be important? Yes, Astria.
It's because when a hurricane hits, you can't really use internet that well. And so
What goes away sometimes in big storms? Your electricity, just like in a big snowstorm, right? For us. Yeah, they lose electricity, so that's why you need canned foods, things you can just eat, just like any kind of big storm. You also, though, have to board up your windows. You have to take everything off your porch because the winds will just blow everything away. Today, hurricanes rarely come as a surprise. Stay tuned to weather reports during hurricane season. If they tell you to evacuate, what should you do? You would be surprised how many people will not evacuate. You need to go. Even like with our fires here in Colorado, same idea. You need to go. When you're told to go, go. Disasters can happen anytime. Be prepared and you can survive a hurricane. I have been through Hurricane Elena. I remember waking up and I taught dance at my dance studio. I was in high school, and I went to go to the dance studio, and the windows had been blown through, and water had come through and ruined all of our dance floors. And we had a little boutique. All of our dance clothes and dance shoes had gotten ruined. And then we went down to the marina, and the water in the streets was up to our knees, and we just walked through that. So I've survived them. We just did everything we were supposed to, stayed inside, and that's what you do. I bet many of you have experiences with that as well. So we're going to hear more and more about hurricanes hitting the Gulf of Mexico, especially because hurricane season is happening. So we're going to watch this quick video. Did I ask you to bring your science journals? I don't know. Did I not? That's okay. All right, we'll just do it out loud. All right, so watch this video quickly. It's pretty interesting.
In the tropics, we now have Tropical Storm Laura.
I'll stop it so I can. You heard that. So they go through the alphabet, I believe.
In the tropics, we now have Tropical Storm Laura. Tropical Depression number 13 has been upgraded to Tropical Storm Laura. Hurricane reconnaissance plane flying in the system. They were able to find that center of circulation. They also have found that it has strengthened. Winds are now at 45 miles an hour. The other thing, they found that the center was actually south of where they originally were looking, or it is at least formed further to the south. So that is going to change that forecast track. Remember, we've been talking about this all morning long, that as time goes on, you got to find that center, and then that's going to really help to determine where this is going to go. And with that
And it
further
changes
south, it is quite likely
quickly
to have more land
sometimes.
interaction. So we're going to have to wait and see how this is really all going to play out. But right now, it's moving to the west at 21 miles an hour, and winds are at 45 miles an hour. So you look at that forecast track, you see that little wiggle. That's because the actual forecast track hasn't been updated yet from the Hurricane Center. And obviously, this is all going to be shifting, I think, further down to the south, and this will be changing. But there's still, at least the current thinking, is an increasing storm, potentially a hurricane working its way up towards the Gulf of Mexico as we get into next week. So we're going to wait and see. That 11 a.m. advisory will be coming out, so we'll be updating you as the morning goes on. And during
I just have to stop it to say, do you notice how he's not committing? Just like, how hard was it for you to talk to Nervous Nelly today? You're like, I think this is what's going to happen. Even with my data, is it hard? Yeah. Often you think a hurricane's going to hit. When I lived in Florida, we were ready. We knew it was headed right toward us. And then at the last minute, guess what? Shifted. And the scary thing about that is then people who aren't ready for it are not prepared, right? And that's when a lot of devastation can happen. So I just find this so interesting how he's like, potentially, we think it's going to go here. We're watching it. We'll let you know. We'll update, because it's hard to tell. It's hard to track those storms. Okay, keep watching. This is interesting.
As well. So Tropical Depression number 14, they are flying in this system as well right now. At this point, it doesn't look all that well organized, but there's potential as we go through the next several days that this is going to move into an environment where conditions are more favorable, and there we could have a hurricane as well. So if you're keeping track, that would make us with two, or at least the possibility of two hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico at the same time. We have not actually had two hurricanes in the Gulf at the same time. We've had tropical storms, and depressions, but we've never had actually two hurricanes at the same time. A lot of people wondering, so what would happen? Could these merge and become one giant hurricane? It doesn't work that way. There's something called the Fujiwara effect, which would come into play. We could see some of that happening with this potentially, and that's where if you have one storm that's much stronger than the other, it could absorb the moisture from one storm and basically dissipate that other storm. It doesn't become a more intense storm, but it just basically absorbs that moisture. But if they're both about the same, they could kind of move around each other, and so they don't merge and they don't become a bigger hurricane.
That's good news,
there's
right?
that possibility that we could be dealing with this as we get into next week. We're going to head to.
Okay, so I thought that was interesting because two hurricanes? Yikes. That's not fun. So why might this be taking place right now? Why do you think like 2 hurricanes could be happening? I was gonna have you write, but let's just share. What are your thoughts? Lionel Maris.
So, I think it's because the weather has been really nice and the oceans have been getting really warm and,
So you would need warm weather, right?
and it's perfect for hurricanes.
Perfect for hurricanes. Oh, I like your thinking. Yeah, Logan.
I was at a connection because once I was visiting my grandma, but she lives in Florida, and then before we knew it, the second day I was there, they were warning us about a hurricane.
Oh, a hurricane is horror. Yeah, but it's like horror, isn't it? Hurricane, I like that. So you were probably ready to get out of there. Yeah, whenever we go there, we always go in the summer, and I'm always praying we're gonna get out of there before one hits, but we've always been lucky. Sunny.
Every other year I go to Mexico, and what we would have to do is we have to make sure there's not like a hurricane.
In the forecast?
Yeah, in the forecast, or we go there to make sure that we're not in a hurricane there.
Yeah, Sunny said that she goes to Mexico and she's got to be careful of that as well. Okay, so what do you think, what changes have these hurricanes created to our beaches? I don't know if you guys would know this, but do you have any ideas? If you have such heavy winds and rain and water, think about coastline. What changes might it make? Noah?
It might be more wet.
Okay. Yeah. What are you thinking, Abby?
It will so you know how there's waves in the water when it's coming with the shore?
Uh-huh.
I think it will make those waves bigger and then get onto if there's trees behind the beach, you might get those and then keep going into the city.
Okay, so she's saying these waves are going to go further and further on the coast. What do they do what happens? Think of a wave coming and how many of you have been to the beach? This is hard to teach if you haven't been there. Have you ever heard of a current?
Yeah, that's like the outer side of
Do you know how strong a current is? It can kill you as well.
And sometimes me and my dad will let me row down rapids, and I have to know how strong the current is.
So Finn is saying how he's had experience with currents and how strong they are. So what might that do to the beach line, the coast, where the water and the sand meet? Nixon?
It'll have a line where it's wet and then dry.
Okay, any other ideas? Haley Booker.
It might make like the water line go a little farther.
Yes, it's going to erode it, right? It's going to take it away. It's going to pull it in all those sea oats. That's why they plant, people go in and they put more vegetation in so that they can protect our beaches because they erode. It pulls that sand back out into the ocean. And then guess what? You don't have that nice, pretty beach anymore. It destroys the palm trees, fall down, right? And we haven't taught this unit, it's so obvious. With erosion, when things erode, it goes away. Our beaches go away because of water and wind. It pulls it away, and therefore we miss that beautiful sandy beach that we want to walk on because it's no longer there. So we have to go in and prevent some of that by planting more sea oats and more trees so the roots hold on to that sand. Yes?
So I have a connection. So when we were on a boat, we were doing this science thing in Kids Club, and we learned that helicopters try to hover over the middle of a hurricane and drop cameras in to see what's happening. And so we took a clear cup of water and spun it around the popsicle stick and tried to put the popsicle stick in the middle without stopping the little spins.
All right, so Lila's telling us about a science experiment she did with some water and the sticks. So that sounds really cool. Okay, so hurricanes are not just devastating that was weird, to us, they are devastating to our beaches. And I'm sure we could find some pictures of that as well. I'm going to just show you this real quick, and this might give you a better idea of that.
Violent winds, driving rain, killer waves. These are the hallmarks of a hurricane. Also called cyclones or typhoons, hurricanes are giant storms prowling the world's tropical seas. An average hurricane releases as
There
much
it is,
energy in a
the eye.
day as the explosion of 500,000 small atomic bombs.
Think about that.
Hurricanes form in the summer and fall when the sun heats vast stretches of tropical ocean to over 82 degrees. Warm, moist air rises over these hot spots, creating thunderstorms. Upper level winds and surface winds then come together, forming a circular pattern of clouds known as a tropical depression. When the winds exceed 39 miles per hour, a tropical storm has developed. When the winds reach 74 miles per hour, a hurricane is officially born. Inside the storm, bands of rain up to 300 miles long meet in the eye wall, the most violent section. Here, winds of up to 200 miles per hour spiral upward. Within the center of the hurricane, down.
Okay, 200 miles per hour. We said today was so windy, it was 12 miles per hour. Just put that into perspective.
Well, why do hurricanes look like
Drafts of dry air create a strangely calm area called the eye. Fully formed, a hurricane may stretch over 500 miles in diameter. That's a storm nearly the size of Texas and reach a height of 9 miles. Most of these storms spin out over the open sea, but in an average year, 2 or 3 will strike the mainland of North America. And when they do, the damage can be catastrophic. Most dangerous is the storm surge, a wall of water that sweeps across the coastline.
So the beach is not there.
About 45,000 people were killed by hurricanes in the 20th century, including some 15,000 in the United States. Hurricanes are also costly in dollars. 1992's Hurricane Andrew was the most expensive natural disaster in U.S. history, causing more than $25 billion.
That was in
worth of
Miami.
damage.
I remember.
Scientists are searching for better ways to predict the path
Look
of
at
a
the
hurricane.
maps. That's what you guys
Special
did.
planes called hurricane hunters fly directly into these monster
That's
storms
what you,
and plug
Lila was
sensors
talking
to measure
about.
wind speed, temperature, and air pressure, providing vital clues to the hurricane's direction. New 3D models are also helping scientists understand this awesome force of nature and provide quicker and more accurate warnings to anyone unlucky enough to be caught in its path.
All right. So I just kind of wanted to get you interested in this natural disaster section of our weather unit. Tomorrow or the next day, I'm not sure which day I get to do it again, we're going to talk a little bit about what do we do to prepare for these natural disasters? How can we prevent some of the damage? So I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor one thing you learned about a hurricane. All right, and you guys here, share one thing you learned about a hurricane. How about you, Gavin? One thing you learned about a hurricane.
That they're powerful enough to destroy homes.
Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? All right, Charlie, what's one thing you heard or learned about a hurricane?
It can stretch over 500 miles.
Isn't that crazy? Like as big as Texas. That's crazy. All right, Haley.
I learned that there's something called an eye in it, and it's really calm.
Yes, that's where I would want to be, right? With the calm part. How about you, Leo?
That they can be as tall as 9 miles.
Wow, that's tall. And Jensen, please turn on your camera. Can you share one thing you learned about a hurricane, please?
Sorry. One thing that I learned was that like the thing that protects the inside is like the most dangerous place in a hurricane.
It's called the eye wall. It's outside of the eye. Okay.
Because like that, the inside is the calmest, and the thing that's protecting it is the most dangerous.
That's going to be like 200-mile-per-hour winds on the right around it. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to let you run around outside and get a snack and take a break. I'll see you at 2:15.
Bye.
Bye.